Shalom. This week we are reading the double portion of Netzavim-Vayelech. And the first Torah portion, Netzavim, opens with an amazing scene. This is the last day of Moshe Rabbeinu's life. Moses is leaving today, and he gathers the entire nation together, men, women, and children, the greatest leaders of the generation and the ordinary people as well, all echelons of society. And they're all gathered together. They all know that Moshe is now beginning his parting words. This is the last day of his life. And he says, "You are standing today, all of you, before Hashem your God, the heads of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, all the men of Israel, your small children, your women, and your proselyte who is in the midst of your camp, from the hewer of your wood to the drawer of your water, for you to pass into the covenant of Hashem your God, and into his imprecation that Hashem your God seals with you today, in order to establish you today as a people to him, and that he be a God to you, as he spoke to you, and as he swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Not with you alone do I seal this covenant and this imprecation, but with whoever is here, standing with us today before Hashem our God, and with whoever is not here with us today." So this is an amazing idea that Moshe is speaking to the entire nation. And he is going out of his way to tell us that this reality encompasses all future generations. There's no excuse here of ignorance or of not being a willing participant. There is a new dynamic, a new reality that is now going into effect for the future, for the rest of time, that will be affecting all of Israel, and not only the leaders. They're not the only ones that will have this responsibility, that will be sealed into this covenant, but also the ordinary people, the regular people, people who chop wood and people who draw water, women and children, and even future generations. But the thing is, when we look at these words, we see that we're not talking here at this point about going into the land. We're not talking about passing into the land. These words are not focusing on preparation for traveling into the land. These words are focusing on passing into this covenant with Hashem. In Hebrew, la'avrecha bivrit. In order for you to pass into this covenant, the covenant being the upside, the positive side, and the imprecation, meaning the negative side, the spoken curse that Hashem issued for those that will not be participating, you are now sealing this, you and all future generations. Now, we've heard about this covenant before. Moshe has mentioned several times throughout the book of Devarim that this is a covenant. But what's this now about passing into the covenant? You are now going to pass into the covenant of Hashem in order for you to be a people to him and for him to be a God to you. What is this? Is this a place? Is it something physical? Is it something tangible that we would actually pass into it? Is it a state of being or what? And the interesting thing, of course, is the Hebrew la'avrecha, for you to pass into this britz. Aver is a side, la'avrecha, for you to go to the other side, as it were. But here again, we're not talking now about entering into the land. We're talking about you going into the other side of something else, because you're becoming engaged in this covenant. You're becoming involved in this covenant. You're passing into this covenant. But what is this? What are the sides here? I mean, in ancient times, we know, and we see this in Genesis regarding the Brit Ben HaBetarim, the covenant between the portions. We know that there's a concept in ancient times of making a covenant, of passing through two sides of something. But here, they weren't actually passing through something tangible, but yet there is a passage into this Brit. Now, Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our father, is called Avraham HaIvri. and indeed the Jews, we are called Hebrews Ivrim. Avraham was called the Ivri, meaning to one side, literally Hebrew, to one side, because our sages tell us he was literally on the other side of the world. He was on one side, and what was on the other side? Everybody else. Whatever it was, he was on the other side, and we are the same. So Avraham was the Ivri, and the Jewish people are always on the outside of whatever side there is, because passing into this covenant with Hashem means coming to the other side of ourselves. It means coming to a new realization. It means becoming in touch with that other side of ourselves, changing our way of thinking. We have a new set of rules now. We are coming to this other state of reality in order for you to pass into the covenant. This is more than a place. This is more than another side. This is the other side of ourselves. It's the deeper side, the higher side of our own being that we have to pass into in order for us to be ready to pass into Eretz Israel, into the land of Israel, because we are on the other side of everything. Now, our sages emphasize also that inherent in this word is the idea, la'avrecha bivrit, for you to pass into this covenant, that you have to take yourselves and do this passing. No one else can pass you. It can't be done for you. You have to bring yourselves to that other side. And they also emphasize another interesting idea associated with this word, le'avrecha, in order to pass you. And that is that the word le'avrecha, for you to pass into, associated again with aver, the side, one side, is associated with arevut, with the concept of responsibility, of mutual responsibility. And here, again, we see that Moshe gathered together every echelon of society, men, women, children, ordinary laborers, as well as the great officials, the dignitaries, the sages, the judges. Everyone is equal here. Everyone has mutual responsibility. Everyone is responsible for each other in order to ensure the spiritual stature of the nation, of each other, the ordinary people, as well as the leaders. You know, today in Israel, we are in very heady, tumultuous days. Not only is it Elul, which are the spiritually charged days that run up to Rosh Hashanah, wherein we essentially are overcoming the despair of the broken tablets of Tammuz, of thinking that we ever needed an intermediary, which is why we're warned over and over again, and in this parsha as well, about idolatry. But not only are we in the month of Elul, but we're also in the month of September. And the month of September now, popularly conceived here in Israel as being a time of challenge, of danger, of a sense of foreboding from within and from without, in terms of Israel's inherent rights to exist in her land. And September, of course, comes from the word seven, because it was the seventh month of the old Roman calendar, which begins in the month of March. But herein lies the very problem, and why we are warned against idolatry again in this Torah portion. Idolatry in all of its forms. We are on the other side. We are not thinking like anyone else. We are not to be held responsible by the rules that anyone else foists upon us. And idolatry has many manifestations. And essentially, we are enjoined by these words of Moshe to understand that the secret to all of those forces that seemed to be aligned against us then and now, the secret is within ourselves. We have to pass, not physically, into the place. We have to pass into that level of understanding, of consciousness. We have to pass into that covenant. We have to come to the other side of ourselves to know exactly what that relationship truly is. And once we have really come to the other side and understood that we have passed into the covenant and made it real, then we can truly, physically pass forever into the land of Israel without question, without anxiety, and without the constant necessity for us to validate ourselves to anyone. We are today standing, all of us, in this month of Elul, in this month of September, gathered together, men, women, and children, the Jewish people of every generation, to pass into the covenant of Hashem. And that covenant is within us, for us to pass into the place where we understand that now we are ready to pass into the land of Israel, to the other side, to take possession, to be sovereign, to be a reflection of our true and lasting covenant with Hashem, we and our children for all generations.